Have you seen Star Wars?
We all have our differing opinions on the Star Wars Sequel Trilogy, but I think most people would agree that the production for the movies was not perfect. Whether you like the films, whether you don't like the films, a lot of us can look at it and say, well, there were some production issues going on for episodes 7, 8, and 9. Each film was delayed from May to December, and even episode 9, it had a director changed and rushed production because of that. You know, they announced that J.J. Abrams was the director in like September 2017, but the film came out in December of 2019, so it was all kind of rushed in that sense. But all that aside, the films slowly went down in the box office as well, which kind of broke history because usually the third film in each Star Wars trilogy does better than the film before it. Not in this case though, not in the case of the sequels. Rise of Skywalker did worse than The Last Jedi in terms of box office sales, so how do we fix this? How do we fix the box office dropping? But more importantly, how do we fix the production issues? Because I think those become story issues with the movies, and I have my own unique solution to this. I think we should have released the Star Wars sequel films a year apart instead of 2 years. Now I know that may sound a little weird, but hear me out. Disney bought Lucasfilm in 2012 and immediately began work on episode 7, and they had it set for a release in 2015. If we do it my way though, the production begins in 2012, but we don't see our first film, episode 7, until 2017, and then we get episode 8 in 2018, episode 9 in 2019. It all matches up with the last number as well. So from 2012 to 2017, they make all of the new Star Wars sequel films. It's very similar to the production of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. This will make it where every year we get a new Star Wars film for 3 years straight. But when it comes to the story, you know there would be no continuity problems. And I think that's one of the big solutions that we would get from this production, is that you have probably 5 to 6 years worth of production being done. You have to have the story set before the first film even comes out, and it would be in this case. When it came to the sequels that we have right now, the ones that came out in 2015, 2017, and 2019, there was issues like not having the story completed from the start to the finish, or having creative differences with creative directors like Colin Trevorrow. Right before the movie began its production, they got rid of him, and that really messed up the story of the entire sequel trilogy. And then there's also the untimely passing of the actress Carrie Fisher. So if we film each movie back to back, or basically in one go, over the course of 5 years, not only would the hype and speculation on the part of the Star Wars fandom build up for those long 5 years, you would also have 3 films wrapped and ready to go before the first movie even releases. Imagine if you get done watching episode 7 and immediately we're told that episode 8 is coming out exactly 1 year later. The hype for the next film would be insane. I know the question of who should direct the entire sequel trilogy would come into question for a lot of people. Some people would say it should have always been J.J. Abrams doing all 3. I don't think so, because he's a good idea guy, he's a good starter, but he's not a great finisher. Some people would say Rian Johnson, some people would say anyone else, honestly, at this point, even Colin Trevorrow. I would say we can still work with 3 directors instead of 1. I don't like the idea of one director, one guy in charge of the entire Star Wars sequel trilogy. So I say we still have all 3 of our prospective directors. We have J.J. Abrams, we have Rian Johnson, and we have Colin Trevorrow, all set to work together and collaborate on the trilogy, and each film connects with the other. I think it would really help having all 3 of these guys on set, pretty much like they were doing The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2. All the directors were on set for most of the time, and they were all collaborating and working together. So for the sake of argument, let's say each Star Wars director that we have spends about a year making his movie in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. J.J. Abrams from, 2012 to 2013, working on his movie. Rian Johnson comes in between 2013 2014, Colin between 2014 2015. So the next 2 years are mostly spent in post-production for all the movies, and it's kind of similar to what they did for The Lord of the Rings. That started in 1999, ended in around 2004, but I believe the main filming went on for a year and a half, and that could happen with this version of the Star Wars sequels, and then do what Lord of the Rings did and annually pick up random shoots for shots and scenes that you wanted to pick up on again. But the point I'm trying to make is, not only would all the films flow together, but each director would have his own unique style to the film that they offer. It's very similar to the Mandalorian production in the sense that you have multiple directors working together, and maybe Rian Johnson or Colin Trevorrow don't have to be on set for J.J. Abrams when he's making his version, or his episode 7, Maybe, though, they can still be on call. Maybe they can just be around, because that would make the collaboration a lot better, and each director knows where the story is going, as opposed to what we had with our sequel trilogy, where it's like a baton race, just passing it on to the next guy. Also, I think this way of making the movies would help the box office sales. If you look at Lord of the Rings, each film did better than the last, where the sequel films, each movie did worse than the last. So if we release each sequel movie a year apart, I think the chances of the box office numbers staying closer together is a lot higher, because the hype going into each film would be pretty big, in my opinion, if you're just going year to year. And if we look at the Star Wars sequels, the difference that they have in box office revenue is kind of astounding. I mean, the first one, Force Awakens, did $2 billion, second one, The Last Jedi, did 1.3, and the third one, Rise of Skywalker, did half of what The Force Awakens did at $1 billion. I mean, these are big drops in numbers. I think if they were a year apart, the number would be a lot closer, I think between 1.5 and 2 billion each film, which is a lot of money. I mean, we're talking about millions and millions of dollars as if they were errors in a computer. No, this is big margins of error we're talking about. But I'm just saying that in general, I think a year apart from each other brings that average number up a lot, and therefore the profits up a lot as well. After Episode 8, it didn't really feel like there was a lot of excitement for Episode 9. That could be due to The Last Jedi, or maybe some type of Star Wars fatigue. But if there was only 1 year between Episode 8 and 9, I would really expect it to do better in the box office. But that's just a fun little theory that I have on what could have possibly fixed the production for the Star Wars sequels. I honestly would love to see Lucasfilm make a new Star Wars trilogy in the future and do this exact method, because I think it would be a fun thing for the Star Wars fandom to experience, something similar to what we had with the Lord of the Rings, and maybe even the Hobbit trilogy. Do I remember that correctly? Did that come out a year apart from each one? I can't remember, but tell me your thoughts below. Do you think this would work, or would it fail? I would really like to hear your thoughts on if each Star Wars film came out a year apart and we did all the production just in one long go. Tell me your thoughts below. Would this work? Would it not? Thank you all for watching. If you like this video, please like, comment, or subscribe, because it does help out the channel. I'm Star Wars Only. I will see you all next time, and may the Force be with you always.